Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 2 of the Straight From Me podcast with Bryan Garner. You can reach me on the following social media platforms: Facebook, search Straight From Me; Twitter, at Straight From Me 1; on YouTube, search Straight From Me; and on Instagram, search Straight From Me. I'm available on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Republic, Castbox, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and a few others to come. So there's plenty of ways out there to get me. On this show, we're going to take a look at world and national news, and I will offer my opinion on what's going on out there in the world today. So sit back and let's go. We're going to start off the show today with national news. And what a week it's been. Pat Buttigieg, Tom Steyer, Amy Klobuchar, and after their big flops, Mike Bloomberg and Elizabeth Warren have all dropped out of the Democratic race. Klobuchar will give her 7 delegates to Biden. Pete Buttigieg, who won Iowa, his 26 delegates will also go to Biden. Biden won South Carolina and is now on the march. Mike Bloomberg, who spent millions of his own money, and if you are on YouTube, you know exactly what I'm talking about because them ads were wow. He will give his support to Joe Biden also. And Elizabeth Warren has not made up her mind yet who she's going to give her support to. That leaves 79-year-old Bernie Sanders and 78-year-old Joe Biden. Tulsi Gabbard, I guess, technically is still in the race, but she is a non-factor. She isn't even placed in anything. So that basically leaves you to Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. It's kind of funny, though, that the Democrats have 2 people in the lead for their election that goes totally against what the Democrats are always preaching against. There's 2 old white men leading the party. That's just funny to me. Before Super Tuesday, it appeared that Bernie Sanders had a substantial lead over the rest of the pack. After Super Tuesday is what's kind of surprising to people. Joe Biden has cruised into the lead. There were 1,357 delegates up for grabs. And Joe Biden, as of last time I had checked, was at 596 delegates. He's been acting a little strange lately with his gaffes and all that also. He's just really misspeaking. It's been kind of strange. In second place, you've got socialist Bernie Sanders with his praises of Castro and communists. He has 531 delegates, so he's not that far behind, which is still shocking, because it's Bernie. Elizabeth Warren was way back in third place whenever she was in the race with 50 delegates. So those delegates will have to go somewhere. That's a large amount of delegates. And then you had Bloomberg with just his 44 delegates. It's also a decent amount of delegates that's going to go to Biden. So that'll switch back and forth. Now the fireworks should start flying as we approach another voting Tuesday coming, I believe, the 17th, if I'm not mistaken. So both of these guys are going to be sharing their ideas and sharing how they think they can beat Donald Trump in this upcoming election. But the Democrats are building up Joe Biden as a alternative to Bernie. Because if Bernie was to get this nomination, the Democrats are going to have to go on record with supporting Bernie Sanders. And that's going to be hard for them to do since he is an outright socialist. Since he will be the ones that go up against Donald Trump, they'll have no choice. It's just shocking that some of the Democratic Party are already in lockstep with Bernie on some of the things like free health care. And Bernie's already said that he will have to raise your taxes tremendously to give all this free stuff away, which will hurt the middle class and the lower class. Simple math. This doesn't work out. Then you've got these, some of these Bernie Sanders voters that are riddled with Antifa and other domestic terrorist type of groups trying to gin up the public by threatening violence and mayhem if Bernie doesn't get this nomination. So there is also that. Now we're going to get into a little world news. The coronavirus is having impacts now in the U.S. At last check so far, more than 3,100 deaths worldwide. 9 here in the U.S. that have been attributed to the virus. And there's at least 89,000 cases worldwide, including about 108 here in the U.S., like I said, at last check. It does appear there is some good news out of this. It appears that this virus isn't a complete death sentence like some have proclaimed. It appears to be just like the flu, and that those with the immune system deficiencies, such as really young or senior citizens, have the greatest risk of death, or people with other health issues that are underlying. Last week's stock market losses appeared to have came up only to go right back down again. So it's going to be fluctuating quite a bit until we get this under control a little bit more. Doctors are telling you to, use personal hygiene. Simple things like washing your hands, covering your mouth when you cough, stop touching your face, avoid handshaking or high fives, and avoid eating and drinking after others. Just simple personal hygiene. Earlier this week was in meetings and briefings with officials of companies. Some new news is that people with even mild symptoms can now get tested with their doctor's approval. So you don't have to be completely sick and way out there sick to get tested. And there also should be a vaccine within the next 12 to 15 months, which is pretty fast for that kind of thing. Then you've got the Democrats trying to politicize the virus. The president originally asked for an amount, I believe, which was around $3.5 billion. Democrats saying, well, that's not enough. So Trump said, okay, we'll take whatever you give. So they approved a bill that was for $8.5 billion. So from then on, it's been, well, the president is acting foolish, as they always do, which the president signed the bill. Apparently, there's another cruise ship that has been anchored off the coast of California because it has people with symptoms of the virus. As I said before, everything that I've been reading and researching this on is appearing to be getting blown out of proportion as of right now. The only deaths appear to be from those that have other underlying issues, such as a weakened immune system and age, just much like the flu. CNN actually had a town hall show on last night, Thursday night, called Coronavirus, Facts versus Myth. It's all well and good, but it kind of adds to the hysteria. Now we're going to talk about weather. Tornado recovery continues for those in and around the Nashville and Cookeville, Tennessee areas and into Alabama. Earlier on Tuesday, March the 3rd, a monstrous EF3 tornado with wind speeds between 136 and 165 miles an hour roared across a 50-mile stretch of Tennessee, going through a part of Nashville, then trekking all the way over into Cookeville, Tennessee. They were hit just as hard by apparently that same tornado. It strengthened to an EF4 tornado by then, with winds of 175 miles an hour. The death toll at last check was 24. North Alabama had a few spin-up tornadoes also. Winds with those were 75 and 110 miles an hour, which is an EF0 and an EF1, respectively. We're going to bring up a couple of sports items before we wrap this up. The postseason for NCAA basketball is right around the corner. I believe it starts this weekend. Some may have already started, but a lot is on the line for these tournaments. You got your teams that can only way to get into the March Madness is to win the conference tournament. So a lot of hope is riding on these tournaments. You've also got a little bit of news. If you're a fan of the Reese's Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, which is a highly, highly coveted event for NFL players and scouts, a lot of players have been drafted from it. They're moving from a old, dilapidated stadium to a brand new stadium. They're staying in the city of Mobile, but they're moving from the old Ladd Stadium, which was 70 years old, into a new state-of-the-art stadium on the University of South Alabama's campus, which is going to open this year. So their first game there will be in January of 2021 at the new stadium, which I am personally very happy about that. That's going to about wrap it up for the show today. Don't forget to look for me on the social media platforms. Once again, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Search Straight From Me, at Straight From Me 1, and at Straight From Me. You can also listen on Apple Podcast, Overcast, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, Castbox, SoundCloud, Stitcher. I'm working on iHeartRadio. I'm working on the Google Podcast. I'm working on a few others. If y'all know any, just let me know, and I will work on those also. But there's plenty of ways now, and there will be a few more to come. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.